Hi everyone. So it's really, really good to meet you all. And I'm going to dive straight in and start showing my presentation. But before I do, are any of you interested in music, wellness, mental health stuff? Does that kind of like vibe with any of you? Cool. I see some nods. Amazing. So I'm going to share my screen, and at any point, so when I'm sharing as well, I can't see you guys. So I can't basically do both. So just unmute yourself and like shout if you've got a question or if something's going wrong. Okay. Right. Is that visible?
Yes.
Yeah? Okay, great. Okay, so Spoke. We are a music mindfulness movement and app. We've been around for about 18 months, and we currently work with UMG, Sony Music, lots of indie labels, lots of incredible emerging artists all across London, and we are launching in the US in the next couple of years as well. So a little bit about us. So I'll start from the beginning. This is actually my second business. So my first one, I was doing a wellness company, and I noticed that really within the world of wellness, you've got only a specific type of person. So it's usually kind of older, female, very middle class audience. In 2017, unfortunately, my younger brother, one of his best friends, lost his life to suicide. And then within the next year, two of my friends, the same thing happened with their brothers. And I was completely confused, and I went into a whole world of research and trying to figure out, and I learned lots about the mental health epidemic and how there's 80% of all suicides are male, and how the world of wellness and, mental health practices, which includes I guess it's kind of very yogi or very clinical, it really doesn't represent most young people. So just to give you a bit of an example, so I don't know if you guys have heard of Calm and Headspace. They're like they are the world leading mindfulness movements. Their audience is over 80% female, over 95% over age 25, and actually 40% of Calm's audience earn $100,000 a year or more. So they know who their market is, and it is not the people who need it most. And the more research we did and the more people I interviewed, including my brother and all of his friends, who, by the way, refused school therapy, refused school counselling at the time when they were going through all that horrific grief after what happened with their friend. And that it became so clear that music was their form of therapy. So Spoke is a solution to this catastrophic problem, or one of the solutions anyway. So we are a mindfulness app, but we're powered by the most talented, biggest names in music. So and I'll give you a little insight into what it looks like. So it's a beautifully designed app, and it's really about creativity and connecting with artists and with different emotive messages. So for example, this check-in here, so when you check into the app, you'll be able to do an emotional check-in, the colours change and there's a little axis, and then it says, what are you here for? And you might say, I'm here to sleep better, or I'm here because I'm stressed, or I'm here because I want to feel energized. And then it will say, what's on your mind? And you'll be like, maybe relationships, maybe work. And then the app will give you an incredible episode which has been made by some of the UK's most talented hip hop artists. So our music is like, if you imagine like a pizza base of lo-fi hip hop, but with ambient world sounds, really amazing, like catchy beats and melodies on top of it. And throughout the process so we've got over 100 different episodes that are not only incredible music by some of the UK's best artists, but they're also embedded with lots of mindfulness techniques, therapeutic guidance, and we've got a team of scientists that train our artists to deliver that. So while you're using the app, you'll have a daily journey, and every time you use it, you'll gain points in skills, sight, sound. So this is like areas of your psychology that are being positively activated as you're listening to sessions. So the app experience is really beautiful, and I would obviously love all of you to head to the our page on Eric and download the app. We've got some amazing reviews, so really, like, we're kind of on an upturn at the moment, and it's really, really exciting. But I guess I want to tell you a little bit about who's in the team, because the thing I'm most proud of, and I think the thing that is most exciting about a company, is who's behind it. So this is our team. So the top here is myself. So I've run, this is my second company. I've been in music and wellness for a little while. So Michael, he has got about 20 years of experience in consumer apps. So he did all the Jamie Oliver apps. He's had like 20 million app downloads on the App Store, multiple awards. And then Miles, he's our executive producer. He's Ivor Novello nominated. If any of you are like hip hop fans, if you know Gets, if you're grime fans, he produced a couple of Gets' albums and a few other incredible albums in London music. He was signed to Sony for 4 years. And then Lemsy, who's our lead artist, and he's an incredible independent artist. He writes all of our lyrics. He does a lot of stuff with councils as well. So he mentors young people. He's been coaching young people for years now in how music can impact your mental health positively. And then we have our team of advisors, including our chairman. I don't know if you've heard of Mixcloud, but Nikhil is on our board and I chat to him every day. Priye, who's very senior at Sony. He's the owner of Strawberries and Cream Festival. And then Dr. Becky Inkster, who is one of the founders of Hip Hop Psych, which is the world leading authority, I guess, on how hip hop and psychology, positive psychology, are interlinked. So she's done lots of work with George the Poet and lots of other incredible names in the field. So we've got an amazing team behind us. So music is my therapy. I don't know if that phrase kind of rings true to any of you, but this is the resounding theme that we find. Like, most people that come to us after trying out Headspace, trying out Calm, they're like, oh, none of that stuff works, because really what I've always used for therapy is music. 92% of young people use music to change their moods, and 67% already use audio to reduce their stress levels. So we've actually, I guess this is like our philosophy here. So there's 3 layers to what makes Spoke Spoke. So the sound, that's almost like the nucleus, the middle. We use functional sound principles. So there's ways that you can sort of, I guess, like manipulate sound, production, beats, use different tones that change your brain states. So this is a form of research that has been happening probably for about 10 to 15 years only. So it's fairly new, but we work very closely with functional sound scientists so that as we produce sounds, it has a positive effect on your brain. But then additionally, we really believe in the power of lyricism. So all of our lyricism is created, written, and authentically delivered by incredible artists. However, they are trained by a team of therapists and psychologists. So just to give you an example, let's say one of our artists is talking about the concept of grief. They'll discuss it in their own way, and then they'll write their lyrics in their own way. And then a therapist might say, if you maybe add in this kind of question, it can promote healing and reflection. Or if you change that word around slightly, it can really help with that form of mindfulness. So that's kind of how we work it. And then on a bigger spectrum, culture. So ultimately, we truly believe that the power of mindfulness and positive emotional health should be accessible to everyone. And that means the culture of it needs to change. So not all roads lead to Spoke. We are one of many, many different people, brands, activists, organizations that see in the next 20 years, mindfulness and meditation are going to be a lot more culturally relevant to a lot more people. Okay, so this is our team here. So there's the seven of us, and I guess I wanted to chat to you a little bit. And by the way, if any of you, because once again I actually can't see you, so if I'm going too fast or if you've got any questions, can you please just come off mute and say and ask? If not, I'll carry on. So I guess working in a startup and what to expect. Startups are and sorry guys if you can hear some stuff in the background. I think it's like we're in a busy office, which is one thing that it's a very kind of intimate, fast, busy kind of environment. You're usually working in a very small team, so it's not like a massive company where you've got different divisions and different departments. And so on the one hand, there's something very nice about that because you can get very close to a small set of people. The pressure is a lot higher though. So there will be a lot more responsibility on each individual person. So that pressure, you have to deal with that pressure in different ways. So we work to look after our mental health and stay sane ourselves by doing, monthly trips together and trying to have like emotional check-ins every day and stuff like that. It's also I guess there's a big difference between working in a startup and working in a really big organization. Like people are very different as well. So I hate to use this term, like big fish in a small pond, small fish in a big pond. But when you're working for like a really, really big company, it is a lot easier to go unnoticed. That's the honest truth, which in some cases is less stressful. And in other cases is, there's an element of, I guess it's a bit less stressful at times. And sometimes you don't learn as much, but sometimes you actually learn from a broader spectrum of people. So people tend to have a little bit more time to dedicate to teaching people underneath them in bigger companies. So that's what, and I can tell you now, like I worked in corporate and big companies for about 6 years before starting a startup. So there's no better or worse. It's just trying out different things and then figuring out what suits you personally and what you want out of your own career. So a good thing about startups is if you're very ambitious and if you want to learn really, really, really fast and kind of scale up the career ladder quite quickly, then startups are a very good way to do that.
Ariana, we've got a question.
Yes, please ask. Sorry, I can't see you.
Matt, I'm going to give you the mic.
Awesome. Thank you. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, I can hear you. Yeah.
Yeah, I just wanted to, first off, I just want to say, is like, I really love the whole project, the whole initiative. I think it's really great. I discovered Spoke a month ago. Today, oh, cool. Today I just realized, like, it was the 22nd of February. I was at I was at a different event where I got to learn about. You gave a sort of spoke to us about Spoke, and I finally got an iPad Pro so I can download it and actually use it because it's Apple only, right?
It's currently Apple only. Yeah, we are going to be on Android soon, but because we're quite new, if you imagine like it costs double to be on both Android and Apple, so we're getting to a point where we know that we don't need to do too many more iterations, and then we're going to put it over on Android.
Gotcha. That makes sense. But I'm going to download it as soon as it does come out. Now I've got an iPad, I can do that. But I was curious. You kind of touched on like you sort of how you've got experience having worked in like corporate for a good few years and whatnot. And I'm a fairly recent graduate. I've started working in the industry in at a fairly large sort of company. And I love it. The work is great. It's honestly, it's actually on paper, it was a dream. It's a dream job, and I really do like it. But I've also come to learn that I think I've worked at 2 different companies, and as much as I get along, I think there are things that I would just do differently. And I've always been nervous about the idea of sort of taking on my own sort of initiative or project, even like sort of freelancing and stuff, I guess. And I'm asking anyone and everyone I can how they approached it, any tips, any advice you guys have. And also I really wanted to ask how you came up with the idea behind sort of connecting it to mental health, because that's a really important topic to me. I'm trying to figure out how I can do some good in that area and that space with whatever it is I do. Hopefully that was a question, if that made any sense.
Yeah, no, of course it did. So yeah, that's a great question, actually, and a really important point for anybody who is thinking of setting up their own thing. And the truth is people do it in different ways. So I'm not going to say, you know, there's one way better than the other. But what I did is, so I lived in New York for a year. I was working at City Private Bank, so it's a big corporate job. Knew I wanted to start my own company. Knew I didn't have the right visa out there to start a company legitimately. And so I moved back to London, set up my first company, and I actually got a job when I got back. So I was a marketing manager for a really cool startup that I worked for about a year. And then while I was doing that, I started testing the concepts that I had for my last business. So I was kind of working on it in the weekends, I was doing it in the evenings. I was like testing it in little ways just to see whether the market actually wanted it. Because the last thing you'd want to do is basically try something and then actually realize that it's not, people don't want it, they don't want to pay for it, and it's not a viable business. Like ultimately, a business is something that you can make money from. So if it's, you know, if people don't want to purchase what you're offering, then it's still valid, it's a project and it's a hobby. But it's important that if you're trying to set up a business, that it has that viability. So, and the only way you can do that is by tests, really small tests. So let's say for me, it was events. So I set up events at the weekend, and I basically didn't even spend any money. I made marketing materials for it, just all myself, put it out to my network and just tried to sell tickets. And before I knew it, people were buying the tickets, and I was like, okay, so as long as I sell 20 tickets, then that will cover the cost of the event, and then I can do it. And so once 20 had sold, then I was like, right, the event is definitely on. And if 20 didn't sell, then I would just refund those people and I'd cancel the event. So it was literally playing it very, very safe. And then once I'd done that a few times, events started actually selling out. So then I was like, okay, so now we actually need to do more. So then I did more. And then so about a year into having that job, I left that job, because it was like, okay, so I know that I've got enough savings that I can cover my rent and basic costs for like 2 or 3 months. I'm making just enough so I can kind of like get by and put more time into this, because now I know that if I work on this 5 days a week instead of 2 days a week, it's gonna, you know, so you kind of want to like, unless you've just got a load of money and you can take 6 months of, you know, something high risk, which some people do. I mean, I didn't, but that's quite a smart way to think about it, if that makes sense. Does that kind of answer that question?
Yeah, it's a little scary, but it does answer it. And it seems like, it feels, everyone I speak to who's done it, like always seem so fulfilled and happy, and like it seems like something you kind of have to do if you really believe in what you want to do, you know?
100%. And the thing is like, of course, it's definitely scary, but taking aside the scary part, the scariness, it's like, okay, you've got you're compelled to do this. Yeah. So satisfy that curiosity. So rather than like making it into this really big thing that's like, oh my God, I really want to do this thing, but will it fail? Won't it fail? The truth is, actually, it doesn't matter if it fails or not, because do it, maybe it will fail, and then that will lead into something else. Like nobody is successful who hasn't failed 10, 20 times at something. Like you only hear about the one thing that they were really successful at, but they learned from all of these different failures. So yeah, the best thing I think to do is not see it as this big thing, just satisfy your curiosity about it in little ways until you feel safe enough, just safe enough. Like it will always be scary making that jump, but you want to be just safe enough to be like, okay, you know what, I can now dedicate 2 months to this, and I've just got enough money to support myself, so I can dedicate 2 months, or I can live at home with my parents, or blah blah blah. So there's kind of ways, because I think it's important to create that safety for yourself, because it's very hard to work hard and be creative and not have any safety or security. You're like, if you're like struggling to literally like get by or buy food.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So
Totally.
that's kind of, yeah, setting that framework and then making that leap as soon as it's like, whew, I've got that little buffer. I think we're ready to go. I've made some tests, they've worked out.
Gotcha.
You know?
Yeah. No, it all makes so much sense. Thank you very much. I really, really appreciate it.
Yeah, of course. I really hope that was helpful. And yeah, any other questions about what it's like working in a startup? Because I could honestly waffle on for like hours. So maybe if anyone's got a specific question about it, I can answer that.
No questions yet. Continue, and then I'll let you know.
Okay, cool. So, yeah, I guess another thing maybe to expect is, so I mentioned it's obviously quite high pressure, but there is an element of like, if you know what it is you want to do, then like, let's say you know that you want to be I don't know, in marketing, or you want to go in, like become like a growth manager or something like that. You want to grow like tech startups. I'm going to be honest, there's so many people looking, like so many startups looking for people who are like very, I guess the word is decisive about what it is they want to do and the area that they want to be really, really good at. And it's like that decisive energy is the kind of energy that startups need. Because we're very, as a startup, we're very early in the journey of being a business in the world. So energy, and I guess like, yeah, I'm going to use this word, like energetically, the people that help startups and therefore do well in startups are people who have that, like, you know, like 0 to 1 energy. You're like, I've got initiative, I'm going to get this off the ground, I'm going to figure this out. Like, I don't need to be guided and spoon-fed tasks kind of thing. Like, so there's a real need to be very, take that initiative yourself with stuff. And actually that doesn't work for a lot of people. So some people, you know, actually prefer to be managed a little bit heavier or like micromanage a little bit more, which you're going to get more in a bigger organization as well. So that is something to consider, which, yeah, I think is quite important, because like I said, there's actually no right or wrong. It's just a different environment for different personalities. Like, I was never very happy or good in big corporates because there's a lot of infrastructure and there's lots of like jumping through hoops and there's lots of red tape and it's very bureaucratic, which, you know, and so that means things are very slow moving. But for a company that wants to be very innovative, you can't be slow moving. It's like, even today we were like, right, what we've been doing the last month, that actually didn't work. So we're going to change it. And literally the last hour, you just heard the probably end of that conversation. The last hour, my team were like, right, we're just making a new plan and it's starting tomorrow. And there is a whole new content marketing plan starting tomorrow. Like that level of speed doesn't happen in a big company. And so it can be a bit disorienting as well if you can't work that fast, basically. So yeah, I'll move on, but hit me up if you've got any more questions on startups. So our big vision as a company, so we truly believe that a movement like this can not only change the world, but can bring the tools of mindfulness to millions and millions of more people who would have never even thought of looking after their mental and emotional health. And we're not saying that Spoke will change the world. What we're saying is we're part of a network of people who ultimately can create a massive, massive shift. The music industry is the most influential industry in the world. Musicians are the most influential people in the world. At the helm of every single subculture that ever existed are the musicians at the front of it. The fact that musicians haven't been brought into the wellness conversation yet is truly it's astounding to me. So we really believe in a world where music is given, you know, the the recognition that it deserves to be a true kind of vehicle for positive mental health. Okay, so how you can work with us. So you can actually get this via the Eric app. I'll briefly, that is a QR code to take you straight to the type form, or it's just go on the Eric app and find our profile and it's on there. Basically, we're currently hiring student community leaders. So these are students all over the country, and we've already brought on our first 3, which is exciting. And so we're only looking for another 3 more, like for the next 2 months. So we're bringing on 6 community leaders for the next 2 months, and then we're bringing on about 30 in September for freshers, and then for a whole year. And these are students at different universities around the country to bring the word of spoke to your community, your network, and your community at university. But it's far more than just like, it's not an ambassador role. So we want our leaders to authentically talk about the importance of emotional health, and why taking that time for your mind before you sit and study or before an exam is that 5 minutes that you take before doing an exam to just center and almost like re-gear your mind. That is enough to drastically change how you behave, your mind behaves in that exam or in that study session. And this is all, our neuroscientists talk about this, and we really want more and more students to really understand this. And obviously, if your network don't end up downloading Spoke, they end up just looking after their emotional health a different way, then that's fine as well, that's great. But ultimately, we want to build the Spoke tribe. If you resonate with anything that I've said, then we want to hear from you. Please send an application in, and we're actually choosing our final for this cohort by the end of this week. So you've got like 3 days. So yeah, there we go. Q&A.
Amazing. I was going to say, Ariana, just really quickly, I've got the Welcome to Spoke video, which I think will be really cool to play, if you're happy with that.
Yes, play it. Yes, play it. 100%. Let's do that. Let me escape.
And then we can, and then anyone ask questions, put your hand up, and then we can.
Just take a second. Make sure
can you hear it? Wait, can you hear it?
Yes, I can hear it.
Make sure a second and feel.
Make sure you're safe.
Just
make sure you're comfortable.
Inhale through the nose. 1.
May, you might need to go on mute.
3. Pause. 2, 3, and release through the mouth. This is that moment of peace. But this is more than just breathing. More than sounds, this is feeling. Calmness, peace, all we're achieving. Welcome to Spoke.
Awesome. So yeah, that's our Welcome to Spoke video. Well, you'll see it if you download the app. And yeah, does anyone have any questions?
Well, Kelly says super cool. Yeah, anyone has any questions for Ariana before we wrap up? But that was amazing. Thank you so much.
Sorry, is it only like for students that are like in uni? Like, do you have to be a student?
Yes, so this particular role is a student community leader campaign. However, we're like constantly doing different campaigns and different things. So if you, I guess I'm just trying to think what we've got coming up. So why don't you send me an email with like what you're kind of interested in, and we'll see if there's like a space sometime in the future. But for now, this role it's just students.
I was going to say, make sure you follow Spoke on Eric, because you'll be posting, obviously.
Oh, yeah.
Communities.
Yeah. No, absolutely. Like I said, in the speed of how quickly things move, we about 3 weeks ago thought, right, we want to do the student community leader campaign, and the next week we had job ads out and we had like 30 applicants, and it's like, and then we're like choosing them this week, and then we're going to run it for 2 months. So that's probably going to happen again with something slightly different at some point soon. So basically, just stay very tuned.
We have one more question in the chat. Would you guys ever hire more artists, producers, writers in the future?
That's a fantastic question, and I'm glad you asked, because we will be 100%. So we're actually, and I'll actually give you some hot off the press info. So we are going to soon be running I guess it's like projects with different producers and instrumentalists here at our studio in East London, where we basically are going to bring in like a really incredible, talented young producer, maybe instrumentalist, vocalist, give them studio time, give them training, and basically give them like a probably week or two project to build an incredible spoke episode completely in their own way. So we're going to set up a schedule running throughout the whole of next year, from summer till next summer, and just stacking it with loads and loads and loads of different young musicians. So that's another thing that we are going to be announcing probably in the next month and a half. So yeah, especially if you're a producer, but if you're any kind of musician, just stay tuned. And sorry, I thought I disappeared. Oh, okay. And you'll hear from us.
Amazing. One more question.
So all genres. So yes, actually. So we kind of, I guess our movement started through hip hop, but we've actually got lots of genres in there already. So if you listen to a lot of the episodes on Explore, you'll even hear there's like folk flutes playing in one of them, and there's a sitar. So we've got a incredible kind of Middle Eastern inspired episode which has got a sitar playing, and we've got some house beats in there. So there really is. So I guess, like I said, we're like almost like a pizza base of like lo-fi and lo-fi hip hop, but then with lots of different elements on top. In terms of the producers we work with, to date, we've mainly worked with like lo-fi hip hop producers, but we're actually looking for some electronic, house, and different producers to come in. So we are expanding, basically.
Do you guys have a creative team by any chance?
Yeah, we do have a creative team. Yeah. We've got a team of people we've like basically picked up over the past year and a half, just incredible, talented young people who do all types of stuff for us. But we're always open to working with new people as and when we need it. So yeah, if you kind of see a fit with your skills, then I'm going to put my email. Or can you apply on the app? What's the best way to do that?
Yeah, you put it in the chat if you want.
Okay. I just didn't know if there's a way on the Eric app they can message.
They can connect. You guys can connect on like LinkedIn and stuff.
Okay, cool. Yeah, that might be easier actually. Yeah, maybe just add me on LinkedIn, because whenever we're looking for new people, I just put up posts. So that's probably easier. They're probably even easier than sending me an email, because then you can message me on there as well. And the student community leader, no, it's not only open to earlier years. If anything, if you're like a second, third year, fourth year, you tend to have a bigger network. So it's not only open to earlier years, it's any age student, any year.
Amazing. Well, I know we've run out of time, but I know, Ariana, you've got to go. But thank you so much. That was so amazing. I think everyone can agree. But yeah, thank you for our first network session. Just to let you know, guys, that we have 2 more next week. So if you guys can make next week's and meet some more creative brands like Spoke. Yeah, have a great eve, everyone.
Thank you very much.